What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. It is Sunday over here, and Sundays are usually a very exciting day because the weekly candle closes and a new weekly candle opens here, Pacific Standard Time. We're going to be taking a look into a pattern here, the pattern that we're looking at, and we'll be focusing on for this week because a huge week is coming for Bitcoin, which is the driver of the crypto markets. It will drive the altcoins, and it is the most important thing that you should be paying attention to, because if Bitcoin pumps, that is good for the altcoins. If Bitcoin dumps, you can expect your altcoins to be dumping or shortly after. This is going to be a huge week. We're going to be talking about why in just 1 second. We're also going to be taking a look into a few altcoin setups, one of which one of my subscribers actually requested. It's ARKM. We're going to be taking a look into that later in this video. We're also going to be taking a look into PEPE Shiba Inu, taking a look into seeing what's going on in these markets. And if you guys are new to my channel, you guys should know that I dive deep into the charts every day to find the moves before they actually happen, because it's a lot lower risk than actually chasing a pump on the day of. And I use technical analysis and charts to do it. So if you guys do want to learn technical analysis and see the markets much more clearly for yourselves, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment. And if you guys do want me to do any altcoin requests, make sure to put it in the comment section below. I will choose one to do it every day on my videos live. Now let's go ahead and take a look into Bitcoin. Very important chart right now. Okay, Bitcoin on the hourly time frame. I talked about this for the past couple of days because this was a double bottom pattern that was more clearly seen on this 6-hour time frame. Double bottoms are usually bullish patterns and they break to the upside. Okay, and this time it did. Bitcoin is trying to break above that 105k resistance. We had a wick last week, okay, but it was unsuccessful. But this time, we are actually starting to get hourly candle closes above this 105k resistance, okay? Now, I've talked about this price target for Bitcoin. Now, of course, why do we talk about Bitcoin? First things first. It is the driver of the markets. It doesn't matter what kind of altcoins you're holding, right? You want to be rooting for Bitcoin. If Bitcoin actually goes up, that will pump the rest of the markets. If Bitcoin goes down, that is not going to be good for the altcoin markets, period. Okay? Now, we do have an hourly candle close, and it's still going higher right now. Okay? And this double bottom pattern seems to be playing out. Price target for this double bottom pattern, it's going to be right underneath 110k here, which was the previous all-time high. Now, after it gets that level, we are potentially looking at, we're going to be focusing on this chart, okay? Why is this weekly chart so important, okay? Because we do have some sell signals here on this weekly time frame. So we had a higher high on this weekly candle, but we had a lower high on this RSI. That is classic bearish divergence, and it usually signals a pullback, right? However, we're not getting that pullback right now. We are still getting a green candle here. And of course, there are going to be exceptions to the reversal signal, right? I'm going to point some out real quick, which resulted in some major moves. Let's go back to November 2024. Okay, we had bearish divergence. If we compare this higher high right here, and we compare it with the previous highs on the price action chart, right? Namely this one, and then this one, right? And we had bearish divergence on this weekly candle, but it just continued going. Another example to be looking out for, or that you can compare to, was on the monthly time frame here, which goes back to December 2020. This is on the monthly time frame. We had a higher high on the price action charts, but if you actually compare it to the previous high right here, that was still bearish divergence and indicated a sell signal. However, the bulls just kept going and invalidated this signal. Okay, so the question is, on this weekly time frame, are the bulls going to be strong enough here to invalidate the signal? Otherwise, we could be expecting a pullback here. So this is going to be a huge week coming. And how do I usually look for, if we have any hint on what the next move could be? I usually zoom into the smaller time frames and see if we can get any hints, right? So very important to be paying attention to the shorter time frames, including the daily, okay? So daily charts, it looks like we are on the move right now. We need a very strong move here to actually invalidate a potential sell signal here on the RSI and with the price action charts. Let's take a look into total 3. Very important chart still, because I talked about this yesterday. We broke above the daily 200 SMA, retested it pretty perfectly. It doesn't have to be exact, but that's a pretty perfect retest, okay? And it is looking good at the moment. And as you know, as long as Bitcoin stays above its daily 200 SMA, I don't see why both Ethereum or the total altcoin market cap cannot get above and hold above the daily 200. Okay, even though Ethereum's still lagging behind, but it's still lagging behind total 3. But that is my reasoning. Let's take a look into ES1 exclamation mark. This is very important because this is S&P 500 mini futures, opens in a couple of hours, and it has high correlation with Bitcoin, and it could be a front-running signal for Bitcoin as well. All right, so this has actually just broke above the daily 200 SMA for all types of significance, right? A couple days ago. Let's take a look into a smaller time frame for ES1 exclamation mark. Also broke out of a falling wedge just the past week, right? So right now, I think it's still looking very good for the stock market. I don't see any, huge warning signs coming from the stock market. It's actually looking very good. That is just broke above the daily 200. Let's take a look into ARKM first and see what is going on in this market. I'm gonna be just doing this chart live here. Have not really traded this coin for quite a while. So first things first, I'm gonna show you guys how I walk through a altcoin charts and look for things that you need to be paying attention to. Of course, just based on my own opinions, experience. None of what I'm saying here is financial advice, of course. Let's go ahead and go to ARKM monthly time frame. We don't have a overbought RSI reading here. That's very important, and that's going to be even more important as the bull cycle goes on. Because if you have an altcoin and it has a monthly RSI reading in overbought territory, chances are it's going to be very close to a potential peak and a huge dump. Okay, but it is not in overbought territory right now. Not saying it can't dump now, but it's just not near a potential peak. Okay, and I'm using altcoins with monthly RSI data from back in 2021 as a reference point. You guys can go and look for yourselves, okay? Now, monthly time frame Can we actually pull a chart here? No, we don't have 3 candles touches on a trend line. So let's come down here to the weekly time frame. Still no. But we are at the weekly 21 SMA as resistance. When you have moving average above the price action, that is going to be resistance. If you have moving averages below the price action, that's going to be support. So that is a very basic and fundamental idea you guys should understand as well. 3-day time frame. We do have 3 candle touches on this upper trend line. Do we have... Okay, so we're looking at something like this. Bottom trend line. Now, 3 candle touches validate a trend line, and you guys should definitely start charting these for yourselves. And as you guys chart more and more, you guys will be able to see these patterns a lot more clearly, sometimes even without having to chart. It's going to become a reflex, and it's going to be very important to you surviving trading, of course. I don't think you can survive trading without charting. So definitely something you guys should be starting to do if you want to survive in this market in the long term. 3-day time frame. Like I said, falling wedge pattern, very common pattern. How do you measure the price target of a breakout of a pattern? You measure the opening of the pattern. In this case would be measuring the opening of the pattern, right? In this case, for falling wedge. Let's take a measure move. Let's just say if it breaks out by this point, measure target is going to be about $4.90, just right above $4.90. Now, price targets are estimates only. It could be more or less, right? I've seen fake outs. I've seen breakdowns from falling wedges. So something to be keeping in mind. Nothing in this market is 100%. All right, so let's take a look into a smaller time frame and see what this price action could be doing. Of course, this altcoin here looks like it's closer to the bottom of this pattern, right? All right, 4-hour time frame. This looks like another very familiar pattern that has already broken out. All right, price target out of this smaller falling wedge. It doesn't look like it has reached it just yet, or I could be wrong. All right, price target out of this is going to be about 79 cents. So still got, about 10% there, a little over 10%. That's ARKM for you. Let me know if you guys want to see more of ARKM down in the comment section below. Like, comment, subscribe on this video. And if there's enough people who want to see more of ARKM, I will continue to follow this coin for you. Let's take a look into PEPE and see what's going on. Monthly time frame. Not in overbought territory. We have actually just been in overbought territory, but it dumped, right? And basically has reset the monthly RSI reading. Let's take a look into the weekly time frame. Weekly time frame has actually just gone on top of some major resistance. Weekly 21 SMA, weekly 50 SMA, okay? 3-day time frame has actually just gone on top of all of its major moving averages on the 3-day time frame. So that's good. Let's come over here to daily time frame. Daily time frame. Above the daily 200 SM. I mean, it's basically retested that daily 200 SMA, which is the orange line here at about about 13. I'm not going to mention all the zeros in front of it. Okay, so actually it's gonna buff all its moving averages so far. So it's in terms of moving averages, Pepe is actually looking very good. All right, so 12-hour time frame where I could probably validate a chart here. I get pretty technical on the charts. I want to see three candle touches to validate a pattern on that time frame. So on this 12-hour time frame, much closer. We have 3 candle touches. The second candle is not exact, but I don't think it needs to be super exact, in my opinion. 12-hour time frame broke out of this falling wedge pattern. The price target is going to give you about 4 zeros and 22. Okay, so still quite a bit of a target here for Pepe because it is a bigger meme coin. Let's take a look into a smaller time frame and see if we can get any other clues on where this price action could be going. Very similar chart here. Is this a bigger falling wedge pattern? Let's see if we can actually chart that out. Yes, it is. So this one is going to give you something like this. Looks like it's trying to break out of it. Okay, it is at the top trend line. It's trying to break out. Let's see if we can actually get a solid move above the top trend line here. Otherwise, it could be a fake out. Measure move based on this breakout point. It's going to give you a 4 zeros and 16 here. Okay, just a little bit above 16 here. All right, so that's basically what I'm looking at for Pepe Shiba Inu. Again, it's a huge altcoin. Okay, it doesn't move as quickly and as much as some of these smaller altcoins, especially the ones ranking 400 and below, and those are going to be riskier and more volatile. I usually like trading those, but of course, I've had some experience. I've had quite a bit of experience trading spots, trading leverage. But yeah, that's basically those are gonna be a lot of what I trade. I trade the bigger altcoins too, but they're not gonna be as fun, right? But that is just me, right? I don't recommend if you're a beginner that you throw a lot of money at these smaller altcoins because they're so much more volatile, right? Unless you can manage a risk a lot more carefully and just have experience doing that. I don't recommend it. Let's take a look into Shiba Inu. Monthly time frame. Not in overbought territory. Okay. This looks like a falling wedge pattern in a smaller time frame. It is the monthly 21 SMA as resistance. It is at quite a bit of moving averages as resistance on the weekly time frame as well. Let's see if we can actually get a pattern here. And this would be a very familiar pattern you guys should start getting to know a lot more. Falling wedge. We don't have the second candle super exact on the bottom trend line, but I think that's fine. Measure move, opening of the pattern. Measure move based on this estimated breakout points. If it doesn't break out by then, move the measurements down along the trend line if the pattern's still intact. And that's going to give you a measure move of a bunch of zeros and 59. All right, this wraps it up for the video for today. Thank you very much and have a great rest of the day.